So, just to review really quick, you guys remember what a sine graph looks like?
Yeah. Is that the wavy one? The wavy.
Wavy, yeah, sine and cosine are both wavy graphs.
And you go to like 360?
Yeah, usually we used, instead of 360, we used, I made you guys put like 4 marks.
And you were starting.
And we used 2 pi instead of 360.
Yeah.
Usually. I think there was one assignment where we used 360. So, and normally the graph goes up to 1 and down to -1. So this up to 1 down to -1 is called the amplitude. And how far it goes before it starts repeating itself is called the period. Okay, so what does this 2 do to the graph when you put it in front?
Longer or?
It's the amplitude. That tells you you're going to go up 2 and down 2 from the middle. What does the 4 do? Well, normally a period is 2 pi. When there's a number in front of the x, you do 2 pi divided by that number, and that would give you the period. So the amplitude is 2 for this one, and the period is 2 pi divided by 4, which is like a half a pi or pi over 2. Okay, what's it do when there's like pluses and minuses here? Okay, when there's something directly on the x, it affects the x motion. This would move the graph right pi. So in this case, if this was 2 pi, this would be like pi. And this would move the graph up 3. So kind of have 4 things all together. There's the number in front, there's the number in front of the x, then there's the shift, I don't know what I'll call it. I think they usually use like k and h. So amplitude is a, the period is 2 pi divided by b. This shifts right k and up h. So there's like 4 things. And also, do you guys remember where sine normally starts at? Middle going up. That's what a normal sine does. And cosine starts at the top. So if it's at the top, it's going to go down. All right. Anyways, that was a quick review. So we're on number 35. It's just cosine of x. If you have a graphing calculator, you can kind of cheat with these, because they can do it.
Why don't we have graphing calculators?
They're expensive. I do have some in the closet, but there's not a lot.
You should bring them.
You didn't teach us how to do tangents.
Right, we're not doing we're going to replace 36 with 40, actually. Okay, yeah, we never did the tangent assignment. It's pretty boring. They just all look like that. And it's that over and over again. So we just, anyways. Okay, so this one doesn't have any modifiers. Like there's no number in front, so the amplitude is 1. There's no number in front of the x, so the period is 2 pi. I usually put that on the 4th marker. Then I go back a little bit. Okay, where does cosine start out? We just mentioned this.
Cosine starts up.
Starts at the top. So that means it's going down to the bottom, back to the middle.
I think I might actually fail this test.
Really? This seems hard.
I don't know, just kind of.
You just feel like about the whole chapter.
I have a question. Why are we, like, instead of just using one block as one, why are we doing?
You can use, I like it because otherwise the graph would be really tiny.
Okay.
Um,
But can we?
so it's kind of like I'm zooming in, so it doesn't look, that's fine.
Okay, because it's kind of.
Yeah, if you want to do it like normal, it would look like that.
Oh, thanks you. Where's this gonna come in handy one?
But it's not like that question.
Okay, I've answered this like
Joey doesn't like it. Quit asking.
5 times, so I think that's enough.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were explaining it, can you go back to when you were explaining it?
No.
Just on like y equals 2 sin 4x. Where's that 4? What's that 4 do?
You do the normal period of 2 pi divided by 4 to find the period.
But what does that mean?
Period is how far it goes before it starts repeating itself.
Okay. I see.
Okay. 36 we were actually going to replace with 40. I might talk about 40 a little bit. 37, they just put a 3 in front of the sign. They also call it theta, g of x, or g of theta. Hang on. So what is the 3 going to do to the graph?
Up.
Makes the amplitude 3. That means it goes up 3 and down 3 from the middle. So, I don't know, since I'm just counting by ones here, you wouldn't really have to label it. What's the period gonna be?
2 pi.
2 pi, because there is no number in front of the theta. They're using theta instead of x this time. So anyway, on your graph, you do have to label this, by the way. I think a few people maybe didn't, and on like a couple
You
problems.
have to label the one, the 2 pi.
Yeah, because if you don't label it, I'll just assume you're not counting by ones or something, which would be wrong. Okay, where does sine start at?
The middle.
Middle, going up. Yeah, so it's at the next step over the quarter step, it's up at the top. It goes back to the middle. Okay. So going backwards, it must be going down.
Mr. Chairman,
Hmm?
can you see if this looks right? Since I have different proportions on it.
Why do we go backwards? Is there any point?
Because you can, just to show that it works in the negative direction.
And then 2 pi will go there.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Just making sure.
I did not draw that very well. I missed my marks.
So on 38, it has a 4x kind of like a theta thing.
It's the same.
38.
It's the same.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow. Is that the exact one I made up?
Yeah.
What a coincidence. Weird. Okay, so on 38, the period is not going to be 2 pi. The period is going to be 2 pi divided by 4. That 4 in front of the x makes everything 4 times faster, so it like squishes it. So the new period is 2 pi divided by 4.
1/2.
Right, or pi over 2, yes. You put that on the 4th mark on your graph. Okay, 41, x plus pi minus 1. Oh, I said I was going to look at 40, didn't I? Okay, actually, let me just, okay.
No.
What is the negative on 40 going to do to the graph?
Opposite. Go
Turns it
down.
upside down, right. So cosine normally would be at the top to start. So on 40, it's going to be at the bottom of the graph. The amplitude is still 3, just like 37 was. It's going to start at the bottom. What's the period? 2 pi divided by 1/2. If you divide by half, that's like multiplying by 2. So period, yeah, the period on that one will be 4 pi.
We are doing 40?
Yeah, we're doing 40 in place of 36
Oh, okay.
because we never did tangent or these other things. 41.
Wait, no, 39.
That's not on this one either.
Oh.
Sine of x plus pi minus 1. This one, not only are we graphing, it says state the amplitude, period, phase shift. They don't say the vertical shift. They probably should have. Alright. Kind of find all those things anyway when we go to graph it. What is the amplitude going to be on 41?
1.
1, because there is no number right here, that's like a 1. So, you could actually just go up to the 1, or you could just mark it. Doesn't matter. Okay, that's the amplitude. What's the period?
2 pi.
Okay, normal 2 pi, because there's no number up here in front of the x, so it's normal 2 pi period. So what's this plus pi going to be?
Left.
It's going to be left pi. So if my fourth mark is 2 pi, that means my second mark is pi. So that means if we're moving left pi, we're moving like 2 marks to the left. So this will be like the middle of our graph right here. Well, what's the minus 1 going to do the graph?
Down.
Down 1. So actually, that's the middle of our graph. So we're moving left pi down 1. So that's the middle of our graph. So actually, if the period is 1, that means we're going to go up 1 and down 1 from this point. So actually, we're not even going to go above the x-axis. Okay, this is the middle of our graph, so we're just going to be going like this. Alright, where does sine start at normally?
Middle.
In the middle, and it heads up. But this time, the top of the graph is actually the x-axis. So we're only going to go up 1. And if that's the top, then you go back to the middle, to the bottom, middle, top.
What's the phase shift? Is that
Oh,
where
yeah.
it starts?
No, that's just a fancy word of saying the horizontal shift.
How much?
So like when we moved left pi, that was the phase shift. So the amplitude is 1. We talked about all these. The period is the normal 2 pi. The phase shift, they used an H. I don't know why, just because. In my head, it's like the horizontal shift. So we moved left pi, so the phase shift is negative pi. They didn't really ask the vertical shift, for some reason they used K, but the vertical shift is down 1, so it's negative 1. Yeah, it did ask these 4 questions on this section. Amplitude, period, phase shift.
Not horizontal.
It didn't really ask for the vertical shift, but I put it anyway. Phase shift is horizontal shift, like left and right. Okay. On 42, what's the amplitude going to be?
2.
2. How are we going to find the period?
2 pi divided by pi over 2.
Good. 2 pi divided by pi over 2. What's the minus 1 going to do the graph?
Down 1.
Nope.
Nope, left 1.
Nope.
Nope, up 1.
No.
I don't know.
The last thing you haven't said.
The what?
What's the minus 1 going to do the graph?
Right.
Right one. Yeah. When it's on the x, it affects the x motion, left and right. But it does the opposite. So yeah, it's right one. Yes, that way.
Okay, so I start at negative 2 for a cosine.
So the period, well, cosine starts at the top. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so is it like this? Or
Okay, 2 pi divided by pi over 2 is 4. So when you make those 4 marks, each one of those, that would be like 4. So each of those marks represents 1. If the period is 4. Does that make sense? So when you move left 1, you're just like or is it right 1?
Right 1.
When you move right one, you're just gonna move right one mark.
Okay, so where do I start my first point? At 0?
Cosine starts at the
Okay.
top, yes.
I mean, is it?
Yeah.